Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
TFG Football is an IVM production, and you can also check out their other awesome shows like Simplified, a show that explains intense topic from around the world and simplifies it for you so that you can appear cooler in front of your friends.
You're listening to TFG Football.
Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the TFG Indian Football Podcast. Joining me today is Chiranjit as always. We're just hoping for the best recovery as soon as possible for Nikhil and Siju. Hope you're back on the show. It'll be great to have all four of us talking about some great topics that we have lined up. So today we have something, this is unusual. So this is coming from the Calcutta clubs again. As we talked about, Calcutta clubs just failed to skip the news. They're always in the news. This time the AFC and FIFA officials are in talks with the Calcutta clubs again. That is the East Bengal, Mohun, Bagan and Mohammedan Sporting. But there is a twist in the story. So they are no longer holding on to we will not pay. They have loosened up a bit. And Chiranjit, what is that? Yeah. What is the news bit that we have?
Well, let's just say that we spoke about this when the negotiations were happening earlier this year, and when they were still trying to do the merger by this season. The factor was that they were obviously always saying we will not give any franchisee fee, but I kept saying that that's not going to be ultimately the biggest problem for them. The biggest problem is going to be this one city, one club rule, which requires them to move to another city for now, for a couple of years. And that is an unreasonable thing to even say. That why should they just leave their home city for a couple of years because somebody else made a contract with somebody else? So that thing seems to be playing out now. So the news that is coming out of that meeting is that East Bengal and Mohun Bagan, when they met FIFA and AFC officials, they said that they will agree to pay reasonable entry fees. Okay.
Reasonable. Okay.
Reasonable entry fees. And by that, they mean like some 1-2 crore at this point. Okay. So 15 crore is the franchisee fee that IMG Reliance are asking. Mm-hmm. Obviously, East Bengal and Mohun Bagan don't want to call it franchisee fee, whatever they want to pay, because they want to act like they won the argument or the deal. But this is what it is happening. This is the beginning of the negotiation process. Okay, pehle bolega kuch bhi nahi dega, we will do this, we will do that, we will go to state government and block ISL or whatever it is. Obviously, all that was bullshit. They were never going to be able to pull that off, and it doesn't even make sense. You should not block ISL. ISL actually is working. You actually, it's a future subdivision. You want it to grow because you want to be a part of it in the future.
Yeah.
So, so that's what happens. So IMG Reliance at first said 15 crores and these guys said 0. Okay. Now these guys are saying 1 crore, 2 crore, and now the haggling will begin. Okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they call it entry fee or franchisee fee. They will probably end up somewhere in the middle. And that is my prediction. I mean, either IMG Reliance can win this or East Bengal and Mohun Bagan can win this outright. But usually when you are talking about a money amount, it ends up somewhere in between, in the middle zone. So what this means is that finally East Bengal and Mohun Bagan are saying they will talk directly or consider the terms put forth to them by IMG Reliance. Before they were like, we'll just talk to AIFF, we won't talk to IMG Reliance, and we won't pay any fee or anything like that. Now I think they're falling into line.
Yeah. So the part one of the demand, that is the franchisee fee, so that's close to being, at least being agreed to some extent. So the bigger part what remains of the demand is having the home stadium. So is that going to be working?
So the stadium part is a bit more complex. AFC only allows 2 clubs to share one ground, right?
Yeah.
And right now it's working because the ISL and I-League are not in the same, they're not the same tournament. So in I-League, both East Bengal and Mohun Bagan can file for a ground share, and in ISL they can do whatever the hell they want at this point because even though ISL itself has been given recognition, like some temporary recognition by AFC, most of the clubs don't have a club license yet. So and even when you are I think they will be applying for club license this year, but they won't need it until 2019 because they're not going to play in any AFC tournament before 2019. They'll have to, whoever wins the 2017-18 ISL will play in 2019 AFC Cup. Right. And in order to play in AFC Cup, you just need the national license. They don't qualify for Champions League, so actually none of the ISL teams need the AFC club license at this moment. So what this allows is that they have more than a year to sort that stadium stuff out. Okay. And look at what's happening in East Bengal and Mohammedan. And I have repeatedly given credit to ISL for this, that East Bengal and Mohammedan are finally concentrating on improving their infrastructure so that it can host national level matches, not just Calcutta Football League or whatever it is. Whenever they play in their own stadiums, the East Bengal and Mohammedan ground, they get more supporters than anywhere else. I'm not talking about the derby where you get 1 lakh, but a regular league game with a away team which does not bring its own supporters, it's great at those smaller grounds because you get 20-25,000 people coming in and giving you a brilliant compact atmosphere. So if East Bengal are installing floodlights in their own stadium, Mohammedan already have that. They're building 2 new dressing rooms and a referee room and all that stuff that is needed to make it eligible to host I-League matches. So you will see quite a lot of their home games happening in those grounds in the 2017-18 season in I-League. Right.
Yeah.
So if they get more and more used to playing at their own stadium, then they won't really need the Salt Lake Stadium for all their matches, will they?
Correct.
So and Rabindra Sarovar is still there for Atletico de Kolkata to use, and Atletico de Kolkata have been saying this all the time that they want to build a stadium in North Kolkata. Okay, now is the time. Let's see you make a move towards it. Let's see you buy a land and show you come up with a design concept for that stadium. So if all of them come up with their own stadiums, which is not the Salt Lake Stadium, then they can play most of their home games out of those grounds, and Salt Lake Stadium can just be used for the derbies, which is ATK versus East Bengal, ATK versus Mohammedan, and East Bengal versus Mohammedan.
Yeah.
So that is six games already. And don't forget that Mohammedan Sporting are also in the discussion. They met the FIFA and AFC officials. The FIFA and AFC officials actually went to Mohammedan Sporting ground and took a look at the facilities. Oh. Now, Mohammedan ground needs more improvement to be done than East Bengal and Mohammedan at this point. But it can be done. I mean, it's not more than 3-4 months work on any of those grounds that you need to do to bring it to national level standards. And imagine if 3-4 years down the line, we have even Mohammedan Sporting in the same league as East Bengal, Mohammedan and ATK. Then we have 4 clubs from Kolkata. So 4 Kolkata derbies. That means 8 matches can go to Salt Lake Stadium and the rest can happen in their own stadiums. And I think that would be the best scenario ever possible to come out of this. Right. That all these big clubs, they keep their own, they build, preserve and maintain and renovate their own stadiums. And the big games where you're going to expect a crowd of 70, 80, 90,000, you're going to put it to Salt Lake Stadium.
Right.
And so, why not? Why not go that way?
That works as the best solution as of now, because you have 3 clubs for sure who want to play the top division and probably the 4th coming in. And, the sharing of the stadium has always been, it's no different for India because we've seen it happening all over the world, because many clubs sharing a same stadium draw the most of the crowds. That becomes the derby, or it is a different feeling of having 2 teams belonging to the same place playing in different jerseys. Just sometimes it's just great to see all that. So on that,
but where it's gonna be seen as a bad news, East Bengal and Mohun Bagan Singh will pay money to IMG Reliance to play here. it's going to be a bad news for the Northeastern I-League clubs. Aizawl FC cannot pay the kind of amount that East Bengal and Mohammedan will pay. Shillong Lajong cannot do that. Neroka cannot do that. So if these two clubs side with IMG Reliance now, it's gonna end up hurting the others, and not just them. Even Chennai City FC or Minerva Punjab FC, I don't really think they are being considered for an immediate inclusion in the restructured top division at the moment. But yes, even it's a bad news for them, because if the moment you bring in that franchisee fee amount or entry fee amount, whatever you want to call it, that's when they get priced out of the market. So they just will have to take that relegation to League One.
Yeah.
And let's just see, because just before they came to Kolkata, FIFA and AFC officials also went to Guwahati, where they met Shillong Lajong and Aizawl FC and Neroka FC. So I'm pretty sure they also made their case, and FIFA and AFC will not be blind to their cause as well.
Yeah. So Minerva Punjab were also spoken to. We have that confirmation. Ranjit Bajaj did put it up on Twitter that the FIFA and AFC officials did have a word with them as well. So all in all, we are seeing that there is a whole development of at least everybody gets to speak whatever is required. So that's a great part on the FIFA and AFC officials. We've not seen something like this happening anytime in the recent past. So let's hope that at least the basic things that we were hoping for, that is the promotion, relegation, and trying to have as many clubs as possible, trying to have an open league. So that's what is required. So by open league, I mean having the fees. It should be affordable to every club. It shouldn't be so high that the community clubs like Aizawl and Shillong Lajong, they should be able to have a fair fight in the top division, irrespective of the franchisee fees that are there. So on that note, we will take a break right now, and on the other side of the break, we will talk about the bids that were scheduled to be opened and revealed of the new clubs that have been wanting to be part of the I-League. And also we will have more talks on the Mizoram Premier League, where Chiranjeev is already present, and we will get you some updates from there. That's all after the break.
Hello, I'm Sanjeev.
And I'm Tushar.
And this is the Rotomout Podcast, a weekly show where we talk about motors and motoring in India. Cars, bikes, rickshaws, buses, friends, familiars, and time pass.
Find us every week on the IVM Podcast app or any other app you might use. Stuck in traffic? Put on Rotomouth. Taking a while in the loo? Rotomouth is there for you.
Dude, that sounded particularly disgusting.
Thank you. But seriously, catch Rotomouth every week.
Welcome back after the break, and as we told you, we will be talking about two topics. One of them is the I-League bids to be evaluated. Now, this is the second time that the bids had to be submitted, because AIFF for some reason was not happy. For some, they did not were very satisfied with the bids that they received. So the clubs that had bid already will be. Have already done again. That is the second time, and today or tomorrow we expect the bids to be evaluated and to be shared.
Tomorrow, I think the bids opening is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, all right.
Yeah.
Yet another day pushed behind, and so it's the three clubs again that we are expecting to be part of the I-League: Gokulam, Ozone FC, and one from Rajasthan. Chiranjeev, what's happening? What was any idea why the delay is there?
Well, we don't know why the date was moved from today to tomorrow, but at least it's happening. So we are hearing from some outlets that Gokulam FC have been made aware that actually they're going to get in, and we are not hearing about anything. The other two clubs, what they can expect. So maybe they just pick one club out of this. I mean, there is no higher or lower bar that they have set. It may again be a case where none of the bids actually meet the criteria set by AIFF. So they just call for a repeat of that bid. But if, at least one of them meets the criteria, AIFF are likely to accept that bid. So Gokulam FC, obviously the best choice have been praying borderline that please let this happen, please. Let us get a club out of Malappuram in the I-League, because literally that's what we need to make this the most popular season of the top division league yet. And from what we're hearing, it's going towards that. So if Gokulam come in, I don't really care if we don't get a club out of Rajasthan right now. I think if you want to grow a culture, sports culture out of Rajasthan, you first start off in second division and work your way up. Just take 2-3 years to build name recognition for that club, because I don't think they can replicate what they have done in Bengaluru in Rajasthan. That's one of the things. The other aspect is Ozone FC. But then again, do you really need to complicate the matter of bringing Ozone into the picture now that Bengaluru FC are already there, who are being considered for a place in the unified new league? So everything will have to be looked at from that angle. So I don't know, but
again, why not have another club from Bangalore, because the popularity is already increasing? Why not?
I should not be even saying that. I just say that because I was sort of being the devil's advocate here. Obviously, do not want any restriction to be there on how many clubs can come out of any particular city. If you can sustain that club, if you can contribute to Indian football, you should be allowed to come in. But I really don't see there being more than 10 I-League clubs this season. If Arrows are going to play out of Delhi's Ambedkar Stadium, and obviously then we just have one more place left, right, for a new club to come in. So if Gokulam should be the obvious choice out of the three, then where do you have space for Ozone FC? So all that, all those factors are going into it.
So could it be a possibility that AIFF calls upon Mumbai FC just to ease up the matters? Because
if Mumbai FC had every right to submit a bid. If they have not submitted a bid after 2 rounds, they don't want to come in.
Yeah. That's most likely the case, because we've not heard anything from the club, and we also heard about some of the players being asked to move here and there. So that's probably a big hint that they don't want to continue, and that will be a big shock.
It's not about whether they want to continue. They may play in the second division. It just seems that they don't want to come into I-League at this moment. It doesn't mean they're closing. They have every possibility of playing in the second division. But again,
if there is a financial decision behind this, playing in the second division, is not the best choice. Again, being at the I-League, you at least get the coverage that you need.
Yeah, but I don't really think they are looking for coverage out of I-League this season, because let's face it, even though we think it's going to be the most popular season yet, and I-League's popularity has organically increased over the last 5-6 years, whether ever since we've had a steady broadcaster. I think 10 Action came back in the same in 2012, and since then we've seen an increase in the viewership. But if Mumbai FC come in and play I-League this season, next season they won't be in the top division. They will have to take that relegation anyway.
Yeah.
So why should they just go ahead and spend so much money playing in the top division when they are not going to be there anymore?
Right.
So, if they're going to be relegated, they might as well take the relegation, save the money, invest it, if they want to continue, that is. If they want to just a few years later, when there might be promotion relegation back in place, then why not just increase your youth setup, just grow your brand locally at the grassroots level, and then try to come back up.
Yeah, and playing in the second division is not bad at all. Again, if you consider that is how they came into the picture. They started with the second division and they moved their way up. And there's no less competition there that they feel that it's going to be too easy or something like that, because we've seen competition just growing. Look at the clubs that come in. Minerva Punjab has finished second. Look at there's a recent example, Neroka. They've made it first club from Manipur. These are examples that show that if you've got the right vision, if you've got the right talent and focus where you need to be, it's definitely possible.
Yeah. It's definitely, I hope Mumbai FC don't go away, because after everything they have gone through, they found a home in Cooperage. They actually have everything in place that will allow them to sustain over the next decade or two and see this storm of an episode out where everything is uncertain. And they can then start putting money back into the system. Actually, Shillong Lajong have been preparing for this. When was it? I think it was more than a year ago when I interviewed Lasing Ning Saoyan. He talked about building a residential academy and putting more money into the youth system. So yes, they have it figured out. They know that there is a turbulent time coming out, and they have a plan in place that will allow them to survive it in case they don't make the cut at the very beginning, which is less likely every day. So if they can do it, so Mumbai FC, because the money power that is behind Mumbai FC, SL Group, they have a lot more money. They can actually make if they wanted, they could make another Bengaluru FC out of Mumbai FC. They didn't. That's a very different thing. But they have the money to really make it happen. So there's really no excuse.
I think if Nikhil would have been here, he would have just told you that you hit the nail on the head. They did not do as much as they could in those 10 years that they were. And if not 10 years, well, obviously they were not playing out of Mumbai in the initial years. But they could have, the potential was there, the opportunity was there, but did not take the most of it.
No, there's no excuse for Mumbai FC not to be around. If they close down shop, they will let everybody down. And I don't just mean their fans, everybody else, because people actually came to see Mumbai FC as they came to admire Mumbai FC for just taking on these bad conditions and surviving. Not getting relegated despite having such bad setup and not a fixed home ground or hometown, and such a cheap team. That Khalid Jamil Mumbai FC is needed again. The one that knows how to survive.
Right. All right. That was about the I-League bids and possible clubs that we might see in the next season. Moving attention to Mizoram. Chiranjit, you're in Azol. What's happening all right?
Yeah. Yesterday there was a strike, so there was not a single car on the road. And this morning I stepped out and I thought it would be something similar, and now I can't even cross the street without waiting 5 minutes, because all the cars of yesterday and the day before have all come out today. Everybody is making up for that strike. And yesterday I had most amazing time. I attended my first ever Mizoram Premier League fixtures. It was, I think the first match was Ramlun North versus Mizoram Police, or was it? It was Mizoram Police versus Chanmari FC. Chanmari FC won 4-1. Very enjoyable game. And then we had Ramlun North versus Chanmari West. So both really good games. There were a lot of fans in the stadium in the second game. First one, not much of a big crowd, because the match started right after the strike ended. And as time went on, more people streamed into the stadium, and by 9:30, I'm telling you, man, it was surreal, because we just had clouds randomly coming in and blocking our view of the game as usual. There's some rain happened in the middle, and we were just bantering around with some of the local journalists. One of the ball boys was drunk, I think, because he kept going from one end to the other, and he was stumbling a bit. So in the end, both of them very thrilling games. And tonight is the big game. It's Aizawl FC versus Chingaweng FC. And Aizawl FC obviously champions of India, but they have lost most of their players. And Chingaweng have bought all the good local players, and they have won the MFA Super Cup, they have won the Independence Day Cup, and they're looking like their favorites to win the MPL, right? And Aizawl FC are in trouble. They have this new coach in who's still getting to know the players. They have played their first two matches in MPL. Both have been draws. So they desperately need a win. And everybody want to put on their best show against this overwhelming favorites, actually. Just how ridiculous does this sound, that the champions of India is the underdog going into a game with a local club that doesn't even play in the second division. But it's happening. It's crazy, man. the quality of the game was last night was very good. Today I'm expecting even better because some of the best players that have ever come out of Mizoram in recent times will be playing in that game. And it's just amazing how many former like Mumbai City, former Chennai City, former Tempos or Gaukar players are littered everywhere. It seems like all these local league players have played for one of the big leagues in Indian football at one time. And those who have not have a good chance to play, let me tell you, because they're not bad. And this is where I actually like what you said about the second division. It's not any less competitive or has much less in quality. This is where you come to know this is a local league made out of community clubs. Players don't really make that much money, and most of them are playing for their like locality team, like not even the hometown team. It is just the locality that they were born and raised in. So yeah, and still they have that kind of high quality football. So it's brilliant. It's just brilliant to observe.
Yeah. So that's the update from Mizoram Premier League, where we've seen great talents come into the second division and even I-League being picked up. So it's never always if you go to find players, you will be surprised to pick up players if there are scouts all over India. These leagues are where you all want to have your scouts looking at players. So talking about the local leagues, Mizoram Premier League is one of the leagues that you can see great talents coming up. And moving on from one state to the other, we come to the Calcutta Football League, where again we do not see any less talents coming out from that league. Chiranjit, what updates do we have from the CFL?
Yeah, well, East Bengal need a win tomorrow. They're playing Mohammedan Sporting.
Historic game.
Yeah, big game for them because they're playing Mohammedan Sporting, and Mohammedan Sporting almost held Mohammedan to a draw. So they will try to make every minute count in this last big game that they're going to play this season in the CFL. So East Bengal are on 18 points from 6 games, and Mohammedan are on 19 points from 7 games. So if East Bengal win, they go back to the top of the table and they go into the Kolkata derby against Mohammedan with an advantage. So they really, really need this win. And Khalid Jamil will be, pulling out all his trump cards to somehow grind out a result tomorrow. But they will be facing the toughest challenge yet this season. Let's see how that pans out because Mohammedan Sporting, after playing against Mohammedan, they played another game where they were playing Railway, I think. They won 6-0. Dika scored 4 goals. So can you imagine what kind of form they are in? So it won't be as easy against East Bengal. East Bengal arguably have the best defense in the league. So it's all going to come down to attacking play from Mohammedan Sporting. They will have to get an early goal and then they'll have to try to defend that lead. If East Bengal score early, it's over. They're not going to get much chances to come back in the game and then they overtake them. But if some upset happens, if it's a draw, if it's Mohammedan Sporting win, it makes the upcoming Kolkata derby even more interesting.
Yeah, so that will be interesting to see Khalid Jamil with East Bengal facing Mohun Bagan, as was the case in last year's I-League. That time he was part of Airzol, and that game defined everything. That was the game changer actually. And it'll be interesting. Now, this is not even in the I-League. This is still the local league. So, in today's episode, we've talked about everything. The ISL, the I-League bids being evaluated. We've talked about state leagues. And there's so much of football going on. And we still not might be aware. But then TFG Football Podcast is where you get to know about everything that's happening. And also news just coming in. This is about the I-League's bid evaluation. So this is not the first time that the bids were asked to be resubmitted. So the date has just moved ahead. The bids will not be evaluated today. It will be evaluated next week. That is the news that we have just gotten. And on that note, that's a wrap for today's edition. We will catch you guys next week with more action. And also, if you're listening to us on YouTube, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And Android and iOS is where you'll find the IVM Podcast app, where you'll find many such shows like the TFG Football Podcast. And till another episode, guys, have a great weekend. See you. Bye.
That was Tantrik Steve from Hansraj College, Delhi, performing at IIT Bombay's Mood Indigo. Just like them, there's a lot of new talent and art coming out of colleges all across India, but unfortunately most of this goes completely unnoticed or ignored. To fix this, we started atkt.in. Hi, I'm Ankur, I'm a musician and a rapper, and I found that one of the best things about being an artist myself is finding new talent. Through atkt.in, Tanya, my colleague who's a dancer, and our whole team really is putting all of our efforts into discovering and promoting all the coolest talent that's coming out of colleges all across India. And this goes up on our website, our social media, TV, radio, and now, of course, this podcast with IVM. Make sure you go to our website, support the talent with your likes, your shares, your comments. All of that really matters. Go ahead, check it out. atkt.in.
एक्सक्यूज मी भैया, एक्सक्यूज मी.
बोलिए मैडम.
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वैक्स है, IVM लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, ड्रिंक्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर सकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है. आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम. आप जाओ IVMpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब, या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप, सब आपकी उंगलियों पे.